Hello everyone, in this video we'll see one of the most powerful Excel functions, VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP lets you merge two different databases in a flexible way. I confess that VLOOKUP was for me the eye-opening function I learned when I joined consulting that really made me understand the power of Excel for your everyday work, together with pivot tables. As with any Excel function, it's going to be much easier to understand how it works with an example rather than with words. So let me quickly explain to you the workbook we'll be using in this video and in several other future videos. As you can see, we have two sheets. The securities sheet contains a list of securities and the value in $1,000. We also have two empty columns for category and country. If you're wondering how I picked the securities, those were the securities owned by Warren Buffett at the end of 2020 and the corresponding value he owned. To be more precise, the list includes the companies in the 13F filing of Buffett's holding company, Berkshire Hathaway, but this is not really relevant for the exercise. It is just for your information if you're interested in that. The security details sheet contains the information on the security's main business sector or category and where it is headquartered in the country column. And by the way, I'm moving across sheets with the Control and Page Up and Control and Page Down shortcuts. It's a very useful one if you're not using it already. Control and Page Up, we move to the left. Control and Page Down, we move to the right. Now, we would like to merge the two databases into a single one, including all the information in the first sheet. But as you can see, the first sheet has securities listed by value from largest down to the smallest, while the second database has securities listed alphabetically. Okay, but we could simply sort both databases alphabetically and we're done, right? Why making it more complicated than it is? Well, if you look carefully, the first database had 48 rows, while the second one, and we move to the bottom with Control and down arrow, another useful shortcut, the second database has 53 rows. So it is not going to work without some manual work. And if you have a database which is 1,000 rows long, you can't afford manual work. VLOOKUP is going to help us here. With VLOOKUP, you're basically telling Excel, let's go up here and we're telling, look for Apple in the other database and paste here the information related to the category, for example, which is the first empty column. We don't care if Apple is the first or last entry in the other database. VLOOKUP will, as the name says, look up for it. Before we proceed, just remember that VLOOKUP works with data listed in columns or vertically, like we have here in security details. As you see, security, category, and country, 3 columns. And the V in VLOOKUP stands exactly for that, vertical lookup. If the data we're interested in is listed in rows, we'll need to use the VLOOKUP equivalent to search rows, called HLOOKUP, which works with the very same logic and where the H stands for, as you can get, horizontal. And finally, if you're using Excel 365, there's also the much more powerful XLOOKUP function, which we'll see in a future video. Okay, enough talking. Let's see VLOOKUP in action. So we move back here and under category we write equal VLOOKUP, and as we start typing you see that VLOOKUP pops up here as a suggestion, so we can simply type the tab key and Excel completes the formula for us and also adds the first parenthesis. And first, lookup value. What are we looking for? We're looking for Apple, which is the first security, comma, table array. Where are we looking for Apple? Well, as we said, in the security details database. And in particular, we want to select the whole database. So Shift, right, and now to move to the bottom, Shift, Control, and the down arrow key. And we selected the whole database. And pay attention to this selection because the security information we're looking for, Apple, as you can see, needs to be the first column in your table array. VLOOKUP will not work if security is not the first column of your table array. Now, we want to freeze the selection, so we type F4, and as you see, we added dollars here, and so the selected database will not move even if we paste the formula somewhere else. Next, comma, and we want to define the column index number, which is where is the information we're looking for in the database we selected. So we're looking for the category information, which is column 1, 2, and we write 2, comma, and finally range lookup. We need to specify if we want an approximate match, which is true, or an exact match, which is false. We normally want to use an exact match. Approximate match can be useful in some cases where you have a sorted range of values, but as a general rule, stick to false. So we can write false here, or more quickly, we can simply type 0, which is the equivalent for false. We close the parentheses and we press Enter. And as you can see, we have that here. Now, if we select the VLOOKUP formula and we double click on this little square down here, as you can see, Excel pastes the formula down to the very last security, UPS, which is a postal security. Okay, let's see it once again for country to review what we did. So equal VLOOK, and we press the tab key to complete the formula. What are we looking for? Apple, once again, comma, where, control and page down, in here, right with shift and shift, control and page down, F4 to freeze the selection, comma, and now column index number, we're looking for the country information, which is in column 3, comma, as we said, we want an exact match, which is 0, close the parentheses and enter. We have USA. Once again, if we double click here, we paste the information down to the last security. As you can see, VLOOKUP is an extremely powerful formula, but it also has its downsides. First, the lookup value, as we said, needs to be the first column in the table array. This means that we can only look up columns to the right of it. In our case, to the right of security. If security were the last column, for example in here, we would have had a problem, and we would have had either to move the column as first or to rely on another Excel function combination, index match, as we will see in another video, or on HLOOKUP if you have Excel 365. Second, the column index value is fixed. As you see, here we have 2, which is a hard-coded number. And if by any chance you add or remove a column in your source database, VLOOKUP will now return the wrong value because the cell you want is not in column, let's say 2 anymore. And let's do it. Control page down. We select category column, right click, insert. Okay, and now as you see, category is column 3 because we now have a new column 2. If we move back here, you see that the VLOOKUP formula is not returning the correct value anymore. This is to me the major drawback of VLOOKUP. If you have a huge database, it's going to be extremely hard to remember all the VLOOKUPs you used. And if you hand over the file to somebody else, it's going to be even harder to tell the other person all the formulas you use. Luckily, the index match combination and HLOOKUP come in our help also in this case. As we will see, index match gives us more flexibility, but it is also going to require a more complex formula. Now, let's undo what we did because we don't want to ruin our database with Control C. Okay, we remove the column and now we have the right information here once again. Now, before we say goodbye, let me show you a quick example of how HLOOKUP works. As we said, if our data is listed in rows, we will need to use HLOOKUP. If we go to security details and we scroll down, we see that we have the same data as above, but now listed in rows. So we have one row for security, one row for category, and one row for country. So we go back to securities and we delete, for example, the country information, and we fill again the column by using HLOOKUP. So equal HLOOKUP, and we press the tab key, and now as you can see it works exactly in the same way. Lookup value, we want to look for Apple, comma, where, control and page down, in this database, and shift control, the right arrow key, F4 to lock the selection, comma, and now instead of the column index number, we have the row index number. So where is the information we're looking for? As you can see, once again, security needs to be in the first row. The information we want to look for, the lookup value, needs to be in the first row of the table array, and the country information is in row 1, 2, 3. So we enter 3, comma, 0 once again for exact match. We close the parentheses and we press enter. And as you can see, we have USA once again. And everything else is the same. We can once again double click here and we paste the information down to the last security. And note that we don't care if this database is sorted vertically. We need to choose if we want to use VLOOKUP or HLOOKUP based on the orientation of the table array, the one we have here. So in this case horizontal, and in this case vertical. And this is how VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP work. I hope you liked this video. Feel free to leave a message in the comment section. I'm going to publish new videos on a weekly basis. So if you want to stay up to date with the new releases, do hit the subscribe button below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.